right, thank you very much. Now, the fresh new TV comedy series Friends has really taken off. Features a great cast, including Courteney Cox, who plays Monica. Here's a scene in which a locked-out Monica denies having had the keys.
Why would I have the keys?
Here's I can relate to Courteney Cox. Hi, Courteney. Nice to see you again.
Hi, welcome.
Have a seat.
Nobody cares what kind of potatoes I want either. I can relate to this woman.
And those two guys listening to all that arguing going on, you see, you don't know the woman until you see her or hear her argue with another woman. Right. Then you know that woman completely.
Right. Even though you're all friends.
Yes, of course.
Yes, it just gets to the point in that scene where I start screaming so loud and start crying that the punchline is, Monica, only dogs can hear you now. So that's actually, I had to look like a fool just to get that line out, which is interesting.
Hard work to get your voice up that high, huh?
It took a lot of, yeah, it was hard.
Yeah. The show's getting a lot of attention.
Yeah,
yeah. The network seems to be behind it, and
we're doing really well. We ranked number 5 last week and 10 this week, and that's
good. Good. Well, of course, you were part of one of NBC's all-time hits, Family Ties. Yeah. There you are with Michael Che, and that ran about 7, 8 years, right?
That was on for 7 years, but I was on just the last 2 years of the show.
The last 2? Oh, gotcha.
Well, it was a nice job because I knew I was going to be on. I knew how long. It wasn't like each year I was wondering if I was going to have a job.
Now, listening to you speak, and I don't hear any of that sweet, soft Southern accent.
No, I moved to New York. First of all, I have a pretty good ear for accents, but I moved to New York and studied with this woman at NYU. If I go home, it comes back, but
Birmingham.
pretty much, yeah.
I was just there the other day.
That's what I heard.
Stayed at the Tutwiler.
Oh, that's a
Hotel
nice
Tutwiler.
old, yeah.
Birmingham, yeah.
Did you have a nice time?
I did. People in the South are they're lovely to you. When
yeah, they really are.
Very hospitable folks.
So you came here to Big Bad New York from Birmingham?
Yes, when I was 18.
Do you remember when you were 18? All by yourself?
Yeah.
Remember your first night in the big city?
Oh, gosh, I sure do. I was staying at, actually, my step-cousin's house. And it was on my 18th birthday. Maybe I'd been here for a week, so this isn't my first night. But I remember sitting there in this, and not in the hotel room, but in their apartment. And I was in the basement, and I called up my sister, and I was crying. I said, she lives in Washington, D.C. at the time. I said, I have to get out of the city. I was so depressed and miserable. Yeah. I don't know why. I was alone. I was 18, and one of my friends.
Tough.
But then
no agent, no money, no place to live, all of that.
2 weeks later, though, I loved it. I got a job, and it was great, and I worked in a music agency and had fun and met my best friends.
You did secretarial work there, or?
Well, I started out being kind of like a gopher, and then I was an agent's assistant, but on the side, I would file for my girlfriend. She'd pay me $2 an hour, and I would file for her. It's really bad. But then, you know, things took off.
You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well,
I mean, I made the $3 an hour as well, being the agent's assistant. I just made the extra $2.
You were rolling in dough.
Then when'd you go to L.A.?
I moved to L.A. when I got a series called Misfits of Science, which was about 10 years ago. And that moved me to L.A., and then I stayed there. The pilot got picked up. We did about 13 episodes, and then I just stayed.
Unless you've experienced that, it's hard to explain to somebody what that whole pilot season is like, and then finally getting a job, but then it's not really a job because you do the pilot, and then you wait for 6 months or something for the suits at the network to decide what they're going to do with you, and your life is literally in limbo during that time.
That's true, especially if you do a pilot in January, which a lot of times people do, January, February pilots. I've been lucky. Friends, I think we did in the beginning of May, maybe the end of April, so we found out really quickly. And then you do a pilot, and then it gets picked up.
You do the pilot, and they put you on hold, just in case it clicks.
Yes.
In the meantime, you can't do another pilot because you've already got an existing contract.
Do you kind of get paid for that downtime, for that waiting time?
No. Well, let's face it, though. I mean, we can never complain. We make such, you know, when you work, it's great.
You make great money when you work.
Let's face it, yeah. When you don't, you don't. I mean, I've gone periods of a year without working. But when you do work, if you just save, you're okay.
So what did you do when the big paychecks came in? Did you treat yourself to something?
Well, this time I did.
What'd you do?
I bought myself, well, you know, I live in Los Angeles. You drive everywhere. I bought myself a beautiful Porsche.
Oh. You feel a little guilty about
I do. I mean, it's, you know, it's a 1995. I bought it before it even came out.
Sight unseen.
I actually got it in Texas, yeah.
And what color did you choose?
Oh, it's so weird because I don't like this color at all, but for some reason for the Porsche it's perfect. I got a silver Porsche.
Silver? The silver bullet?
Yeah, I don't like silver cars, but for some reason, sorry, whoever has one. But for some reason, the old Porsche, I think you know, that's what they were made. That's how they sell them. in the olden days, you know. The original Porsche was silver, so I had to go with that. And it tinted the windows. And
You are such a hot LA babe now.
Did you
It was
meet?
pretty bad.
Did you meet any dudes in your car?
She
No,
has
but
a
I
dude.
actually, I meet more people when I drive my white Bronco through Brentwood.
Oh.
That's when I meet more people.
Let's pause and digest that. We'll come right back in a moment.
Still ahead on Live, actress Miranda Richardson.
Well, with Courteney Cox from the NBC hit Friends, just kind of talking about her life out in L.A. She's had a boyfriend now. I'm sure you all know that for the last 4 or 5 years.
5 years.
Michael Keaton, terrific actor. And I spent a little time with him one night at Mortimer's here in New York after Speechless.
Oh, right, I didn't come to that, right.
Nice guy, and sort of like an electric guy, you know?
Yeah, he is very electric. He's very intense.
Yeah, he's a really good dad, I understand, too. Very devoted.
He's a wonderful father. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I fell for him. He's just, first of all, I first saw him in Clean and Sober, and I thought, this guy is just amazing.
Good
His
actor.
intensity, and he's just a very powerful person. And I thought, if he has a good personality, I have to meet this guy. I mean, if he's a nice person, and he is, he's a wonderful father, and he's great. He's
So
really
then how
good.
did you meet
So
him?
you went after him.
Yeah, I did.
Got in the
She
silver
got that
Porsche and
man,
said,
she
hey,
got
look
that
at me!
No, what I
you
did
meet
was I told a friend of mine that, well, we were just talking, and I said, I think, who would you want to go out with? And I said, I can't think of anybody except for, truthfully, Michael Keaton. So somehow she knew his assistant, and months later, I get a phone call from him. I mean, I forgot. It wasn't like I was out to get him. I just thought he was cute, and then
Word filtered back to him, and he called you up and said, you want to go out with me?
well, I got a phone call. I was on a miniseries at the time, and I was on the cover of TV Guide, and so there was just a lot of things that reminded him, oh yeah, I forgot. That girl thinks I'm cute, so he called me
So
up.
where'd you go on your first date?
He came over to my house. Yeah, he wanted me to come to his house, and I said, no, I'm a girl, and you'll
That's
be
right,
driving.
you're exactly right, Courtney.
So he came over, and he stayed for about 5 hours, and we just talked and talked and talked.
Did his intensity wear you out?
Exhausted me, and meanwhile, he's not even a talker. I mean, really, he doesn't really like to talk that much, so, I mean, the first couple of months was great on the phone for hours, and now, you know, what?
Another 5 years, it'll be no. Well, let's go. But now, listen, you got something coming out on Showtime, too, right? It's a movie?
It's a Showtime movie called The Hands at Sea. It's actually Sketch Artist 2, is it?
That's right. You play a blind woman who is raped.
Yes.
And called upon by the authorities to kind of identify the rapist as best she can.
Right.
You managed to touch him during the
rape.
encounter? Yeah.
Well, what happens is that she knows that she's going to die. He has a knife. And if there's any chance at all that she's going to live through this, she's going to catch this guy, or she hopes she will. So she feels his face, and she's been blind since she was 12, so she actually remembers things a lot. You always remember a lot when you have been sighted at one point in your life. And it's a pretty amazing story. I mean, I hope it's not too far-fetched, because I kind of bought it.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
So-
And how do you play someone who's blind?
It was tough. I read the script, took it the next day, and started 5 days later. So I immediately ran down to the Braille Institute in Los Angeles, worked with blind people, worked with mobility teachers who taught me how to walk around with a cane.
And not to focus on anything, really, right?
Right. It's actually not that hard, as long as you just move your eyes apart, and you can really unfocus and not see something. And you don't have to not blink or not look or move your eyes around, because that's just not the way it is. They absolutely blink and move their eyes, and there's so many different kinds of blindness.
We have a blind institute right around
Right
the
around
corner
the corner.
here. We
We
see
see
them
quite a few
all the
people.
time, yeah. Well, we have a clip, and in this particular clip, you're with the police sketch artist, Jeff Fahey, and you're telling him the attacker had brown hair.
Right.
And he's asking, of course, how could you know if you were blind, right? Let's take a look at a clip from this Showtime.
I touched his hair. It was very fine and silky, almost limp. I've been blind since I was 11, and well, there's other ways to see.
Other ways? What do you mean?
Yes. Would you? Your hair is fine. It's a touch oily. Is it brownish as well?
Yes.
Your skin still has moisture in it. Although your beard is coarse. You're 35 or 36?
I'm 36 and my hair is brown.
Sketch Artist 2 on Showtime on January 28th. And Friends, of course, airs over on NBC on Thursday night. Hey, it's great to see you.
Thank you. Good to
Courtney.
see you.
Say hello to Michael, will you? Thanks, son. We'll be right back with Tyra Banks, yes, from John Citizen's new movie. In a moment.
Still ahead on Live, actress Felicia Rashad